Are you confused or you're tired of trying to figure it out? Oh, I feel you, America. We're talking about health insurance, of course, and this is this open enrollment period. It's the season to figure it all out. And things have really changed for millions of Americans since the Affordable Care Act. A lot of people, and I get these emails, I can feel the heat coming through the emails, are furious still over what's happened. They have larger copays. They have high deductibles, often not even wanting to go to the doctor, just trying to suffer through something because they're afraid of what is going to be the out-of-pocket cost. Oh, it's awful. So to sort some of this out with us, Danny O'Connell joins us, health insurance expert. Hey, Danny, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you, Kate.
So you know what? Your phones must be ringing off the hook, I bet. And it's not to say Merry Christmas. It's to say, help me.
I feel like I should start billing as part of a therapy group or a therapist. It's right. And the challenging part is every year this changes. And when you think, well, I found something, this works for me, and then lo and behold, 10 months later, it's time to go through the process again, only to find out that all of your options are now completely different.
Yeah. So what should somebody do that's getting into this process and trying to figure out what's the right way to go? They're confused. They keep hearing, well, this insurance is cheaper, it's better, it goes further. And that's not often true. I think that's part of the problem.
Right. So number one, the first thing I would do is speak with your doctors and see what individual networks they are in, because unfortunately, the individual networks change almost every year. And really, that's going to be one of the major differences or a key difference between a plan offered through your employer or you going out and getting it on your own. It could be the exact same insurance company, but completely different network. So you want to go out and ask, are you taking these individual plans? What networks are you contracted with? I'd say that's step number one. Mm-hmm. The second thing is really look at, okay, what type of a utilizer am I? Am I a person that, I just kind of get seasonal sinus infections and I go to the doctor every now and then? Or am I somebody that's living with a chronic health condition? I'm on regular name brand medications. I need to see a specialist on a regular basis. Either way, I would say to expect to pay more when you're going and seeing a provider and being treated. So that would be the next thing. Just brace yourself, or it may cost you a little bit more, and each year it may cost you a little bit more to get treated. So those are two major things to be aware of.
Ooh. Okay, so the pay more scenario. Somebody told me the other day, you know what you can do? You can get a plan that's decent, and I love what you say. You absolutely call your doctor to find that out. Just don't play Russian roulette. But then you can also get the supplemental thing. There's supplemental insurance to cover you if something happens, something catastrophic or whatever it might be. That'll be a crazy number you would have to come up with, and there are a lot of insurance companies that offer that.
Yeah, some of the carriers offer like a rider or additional coverage in case of like a cancer or, an accident that you can add onto the policy. And it's just kind of doing the math on those. I'm a big advocate of looking at disability and kind of like a critical illness policy and having your own. And a good critical illness policy is one that you can just buy direct from an insurance company. It's aside typically from your health insurance, but now you are starting to see health insurance companies offer the more limited ones. But the good thing about the critical illness policy is if you get diagnosed with something, it'll pay you lump sum, typically cash, for the diagnosis. And then you can go and see and get treated by whomever you want to, have experimental things, covered, and have the money to be able to use that as you want.
Yeah, and usually that's relatively affordable, right?
It can be, absolutely, just depending on what level, of coverage you want, age, covering the family, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think part of this is you just have to have, Danny, something that a lot of us don't have. It's patience. It's kind of like doing your taxes. You just have to take the days, and figure it out, do the math, like you say. Do you find when you get phone calls, people just want coverage because they're used to, especially depending on their work situation, being covered by work. And when all of a sudden they're catapulted into a different arena, it's uncomfortable, isn't it?
It is, and I would say definitely go work with an individual local in your area. There's a really good resource, one of our national associations. It's called NAHU, and their website is nahu.org, nahu.org. And you can look up in your area different agents that are registered with them, and they're going to be very good professional agents. There's typically no cost to work with them. They can help you navigate the plans. There's no difference in cost with a plan of working with an agent than going direct and going through healthcare.gov. And they can really help you identify some key things that you need to be aware of and help you get that issued.
Okay, so we're in the open enrollment season. How long does this continue?
Yeah, so for this year, it's through January 31st. They can always extend it at the last minute. The first year, it was like a 6-month period. Last year, they really didn't do that. And it's important for people to understand, and your listeners to understand, that basically now's your time to buy coverage for next year. So if you wait until March, unless if you have a life-changing event, you can't call up and say, I need insurance now. It's January 31st, and that coverage will go into effect February 1st, and then that's pretty much it for the year.
Right, and so if you miss it, you're stuck. Yeah, I guess you could get catastrophic.
You're pretty well stuck, and you're facing a penalty from the IRS usually. And next year it goes up again. Ooh. And that's another frustrating part about this is, people did their taxes this year, they paid the penalty, and they're like, all right, well, it's cheaper than getting insurance. That's true. But then this year, for 2015, the penalty is actually double what it was last year. But you don't find that out until typically April, and the marketplace is closed. And so now somebody thinks that they paid one thing, and then next year, in April of this coming year, they're going to find out their penalty was double what it was for the prior year. Wow. And then it goes up and up.
And everybody's different economically, and how many children you have, what size your family is, all that kind of stuff obviously plays into this if you're not doing it through an employer. What about for low-income Americans? What about those people? Are there still subsidies, breaks? Because there was confusion over that.
There are, and you have to be careful kind of where your income is. It really dictates where you purchase. So there is the Medicaid market for the lower income people, and that's normally an individual making under $17,000 a year. And then when you go to healthcare.gov to estimate that subsidy, it'll tell you if your income needs to kick you back to the Medicaid program through the state, or if you're eligible for a subsidy through the federal government. And this year I went through and I started kind of playing with it, and for me, I was putting in different income amounts, and the subsidy calculator through healthcare.gov was not working for a period of time. It's supposed to tell you at $46,000 or below, you start getting this kind of sliding scale. Mine, I couldn't get a subsidy until I was showing $33,000 of income, and it gave me a subsidy of $8 a month. And then the other part, too, that you got to be careful of, Kate, is when you give that, that's an estimate based on what you think your income is going to be the next year.
Yeah.
So you actually get the option to say, give me all of it, part of it, or none of it. And the first full year that we went through this, 50% of the people who got subsidies actually owed money back to the IRS.
Oh, that would be awful. And see, here's the interesting thing, and you know this, Danny, and we're speaking with Danny O'Connell, health insurance expert. A lot of times when you have entrepreneurs, and we have a country filled with more and more entrepreneurs, and you know how that is. One year you could be killing it, and then maybe you have kind of a down year. So it's hard to estimate, I think, with some small businesses, depending on how they pay themselves and what they do. I think that becomes pretty tricky.
It definitely is. It's a frustration, and you've got business owners that don't show any income and take it out at the end of the year, and a lot of different things. So from the calculation, the penalty calculation, the other part is it's the modified adjusted gross household income. So it takes into account everything, alimony, child support, anything that is producing income to you is thrown into that number.
So here's a question for you. Since you've been in this business for a while, and you've seen what's happened with this flip with the affordable health care, is it just the way it was implemented? Like, we'll throw this out here and then we'll worry about what's not working? How confusing is it from your side of it? I guarantee you've had to scramble and change some of your knowledge base.
Absolutely. And when the bill was passed, I think the intent was good, but the failure was in the execution and the people who were actually putting this together. And so much of it, the language in the bill says subject to the discretion of the Secretary of Department of Health and Human Services. So it means that one person controls our health care, and they can make decisions one way or the other. I know a lot of people talk about President Obama extending and delaying and do these different things, but really that secretary at a whim can make any type of change. So at the beginning, we were seeing changes under Sebelius almost weekly, and now you're kind of seeing, okay, monthly type of thing. And I still have employers asking me, as of this weekend, is this going to get delayed? Because you have business owners that have never offered coverage that are now, do I pay the penalty or do I offer coverage?
Yeah,
absolutely. And we've been very successful in working with our clients and finding an affordable solution relative to the market that can beat the penalty and still add value to your employees, so you're not just throwing your money away.
Yeah, no kidding. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you in the great state of Texas, how do they do that?
Yeah, so they can call us from anywhere. We do business all across the U.S., but our number is 214-750-7557. Again, that's 214-750-7557.
Yeah, great information. I hope everybody was taking notes. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you so much, Kate.